What's good with the YouTube? Y'all know Big Flacco with ACP, Accomplished Perspective, man. I hope you guys are all having a positive, productive day. And I got a special guest, but before we get to this interview, please hit the like, subscribe, comment, and do all those things to help support this channel. And hit that bell notification for future fire content. So my guest, shit, I think we go back maybe about 32, 33 years.
Easy.
Easily, huh? Um, he met me when I was first, gang banging. When I was first getting into the hood, I thought that he was actually older than me, right? Because he had that older look, but he was actually the same age as me, believe it or not. He was actually there the night when I got jumped in my hood, and it was common for him to come out and hang out with my neighborhoods, a couple of his homeboys, and it would be common for my neighborhood to go out to the east side and kick with his neighborhood. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce to Chocolate from Eastside Familia. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good, man. Just, living life blessed, bro.
Yeah, yeah. You're doing a lot of positive things for yourself and the community and for your family, man, which I commend you on, right? And that's what this channel is about, man. It's not about trying to glorify that lifestyle, but bringing reality to the lifestyle that we lived and showing that you can change. But to do
Yeah.
that, we gotta show you the realities, the things that we experienced way back in the day. So let's start from the beginning. Let people know
Well,
about yourself.
yeah, definitely, bro. I was born and raised in San Jose, since day one. And, it was very common in my neighborhood on the east side. It was a lot of cruising. And I lived next to Hillview Park, born and raised on the east side, born in San Jose Hospital. That being said, I was introduced to gang violence as long as I could remember, even to the fact that when I was, 15, 16, it was normal. It was normalized. I don't know how to put that in better terms. Not understanding there was another world that we lived in. So I was at a young age, not knowing, being domesticated. Um, like fuck, these Sureños hate us, and I was like, oh, they hate us, okay. And coming from a broken home, I was drawn to the calles in the streets, and I was drawn to the homies, the carnalismo, the brotherhood, and hearing about the struggle and the cause. I was attracted to it. So I did my due diligence to be a part of that, and lo and behold, my personality traits, I took that to heart, and everything I did, I put 100 into it. And unfortunately, it was on a negative impact, right? Not knowing at the time, thinking I was doing a positive impact, if that makes any sense.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah. And, like you said, I was from the first generation of Familia. There's a second generation right now that I heard about. And, but before I dive into that, clicking back up to you with Milpas, we had a current member in our current hood that was affiliated, that had a primo that was in Milpas. So we gravitated towards that house. And that's where I met you, all the other homies. And then we grew a bond, and we spent a lot of weekends back and forth at each other's hoods, you know, and we basically formed an alliance and a family because we were in the same cause.
Yeah, most definitely. I remember that, man. We'd be over there. I don't know, Kyla or Adrian posted up sometimes, or we'd be out in Arizona, Milpitas and shit. I mean, we had some crazy shit that we experienced, man. Grenades and shotguns and all kinds of
Yeah,
shit, man.
you know
Hold,
what
hold
you.
on.
Sorry,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Dale, dale,
No,
dale.
I'll let you tell the story about that.
Yeah. So the grenade thing, man, that was, bro. When I look back on that shit, bro, I was like, I'm blown away because, like I said, it was just another Saturday, in the body. In the '90s, it was popping, bro. War was heavy in the streets. It was taking flight on site. You know what I mean? And when other neighborhoods came in through that grenade came through that one night you were talking about. I won't mention the names or houses that we were at that time, and people came out blasting, and you were. And I was just like, damn, it's just another day. I didn't think about it. I woke up another day, and it was a reoccurrence events that kept happening and happening it was normal. But now looking
Mhm.
back at that, it's not normal. you know I don't know if it's still like that to this current day or not. I did leave the neighborhood um when I had the opportunity to do so. Not in a bad way. I left in a good way. But that being said, yeah, man, it was a crazy we experienced some crazy shit together. I can go on about a lot of war stories. One in particular, I had an individual with me, and we were celebrating a party with your neighborhood in McLaughlin in a southerner territory. And one of my persons from my hood said, "Hey, let's go check these homeboys. They're burning the red baño. But it's just me and you. Let's just go do this and handle it up." So I said, "Let's go so we don't cause a scene." And that night in particular, I'm not sure if you were there, Flocko, or not, but I got shot at 7 times with the 45. And the reason why I know it was a 45 caliber is because it hit some chick in the head, which is one of your people's cousins from
Yep.
Milpas.
Yeah. I remember that, man. That was shit. That's the kind of life that we lived at that time, though, bro. And see, like I tell people this, right? Back then, there was no values that were predominant out there. Yes, you had the older Palmas and Horseshoe that were pretty like deep and old school, but every value could compete with any hood on any night, and that's just how it was.
Exactly. And you know what? You know, when looking back on it, a lot of it started with Hainas, you know what I mean? Like this Haina,
Yeah.
this Vato, and obviously, you know, the bonds, and that was a no-no at that time, but we didn't know the bonds at that time, you know. So we did what we did, and it caused a lot of war, especially with the Palomas. I remember one incident, not with us individually, but it divided a lot of hoods. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy times. I mean, but it was like I said, it was another Saturday. You know, there was another time when we were at Eastridge and we got blasted at, and it was we lived a lifestyle that was we thought was normal, and I think people today are still experiencing that and not knowing that there's a different life out there. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Most
that night
definitely,
you're
man.
talking about. So I got a phone call, a couple of phone calls from some homies, and it was like, "Hey, you know, they're Flocko Block whoop de whoop." Uh, he mentioned a couple of podcasts, so I dove into it and listened to it. I'm like, "Wow, yeah, he was there those nights," because no one knows about those nights or what took place those days and those incidents. I was like, "This motherfucker was there 100% because
No,
I never spoke about it in 20 something years."
no, I respected about you was that situation that happened in McLaughlin when the homeboy that got out the joint got stupid, and then the one homeboy from my town took flight on him.
Right, right.
You and like one or two others backed the homeboy's play because he wasn't wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that dude he's a good carnal for me, you know, and I love him to this day. I know who you're speaking about. Um, but the other flip side of that story was my homeboy came back that next day to square up with that individual because he was intoxicated. Nonetheless, you know, we had our own altercations amongst ourselves, but we all worked it out at the end of the day. Because in those in the '90s, we were about carnalismo, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
I
It
mean,
was
your
respect.
your people slept in my neighborhood, in my house. They laid their neck to rest on my bed, you know, at their most vulnerable state, you know.
Most definitely, man. And that's what it was. It's kind of a little bit different nowadays. You don't have the sense of colonialism like you did back then. That you have people they're reporting everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Just
you
put
know,
it on paper. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Dale, yeah, go for it, bro. Yeah,
You know, instead of okay, there's an issue. Let's go handle it with this dude. You know what I mean? Nah. And I remember times we used to go over to Pokeway and shit. You know what I'm
bro.
saying? And I remember a couple of occasions and shit, man.
I got a lot of stories, and there's one story in particular that I went to a party of one of that carnal that you're talking about. Is I showed up to that house in my car, and everybody was excited to go. Spencer, I'm a little sick. Everybody was excited to go to Pokeway. And I was like, damn, everybody's drinking. I'm sober. And he's like, yeah, we're jumping in. We're using your car. And we went to Pokeway that night. And that was a regular, right? It was one of those things that we did, for the neighborhoods to keep them suppressed. The Sureños were growing at that time in McLaughlin, and they were growing in Pokeway. And everybody jumped out of the car, and we handled business. And then, I think God was with me. And I'll touch on that topic in a little bit. But that particular and that night stuck out to me because um, my Buick, I ran up in there was a next to Pokeway, there was some stores, and everybody was handling business with these Sureños. And there was a Sureño right in front of my car that pulled out a fucking gun, and he pointed it right at my car. And I got everybody was in the ride at that time, ready to bounce out, so I floored it. right, to run them over, unfortunately. But my car bogged out with too much fuel in it. And homeboy never shot the shot. And I told everybody to get back out and handle business again until I got the car started again. That was one crazy night, but it was a regular thing. Like I was saying, we were trying to keep the neighborhood, suppressed from these Sureños because they were moving into the territory. They were moving into the schools. They were moving in the neighborhoods, renting houses, and it was some wild times. And like I said, we took flight on sight, bro. There was no question about that.
Yeah, most definitely. Now take us to you entering prison.
Yeah, man. So that was a wild time, in the '90s, and I'm gonna be total transparent with you, bro. I put a lot of work in a negative way, and I was respected at such a young age for especially I don't know if I should mention this, but one of my hood members took was probably the first one that took a life of a Southerner, you know. Um,
Washington Elementary School, right?
yep. So that put us on the map, and then that just brought put us on highlights. So we were being watched by everybody and everything, and so we started putting in the work, which I thought was work, and I got caught up. I got caught up with some stuff, and ended up getting incarcerated. And to be total transparency, when they cracked those doors in Quentin, I was terrified for a little bit. I was like, damn, where I made it to the big house. But lo and behold, when I was walking up to my tier, everybody was like, chocolates here, chocolates here. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm home. I'm home. I'm safe. These are my carnales. I'm recognized here. I'm respected here. I'm cool. And then I was learning the whole program of when I got my, I was like, okay, cool. I got my clearance done. I had to shoot my CDC number, and I think it was about a week when I got my clearance, and then I was able to hold position. But yeah, man, like I said, it was nothing but love. It was inside there. I felt very comfortable. But that being said, the only reason why we felt comfortable in the late '90s at that time in Quinn is because we established already there. There was no Southerners walking that yard. I think they were locked up on Broadway.
Yeah, I think they were in, on the west side, west block.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yep,
I
yep.
think
And
they
I
stayed
got
there. But
I got
because
stuck. I got stuck there. Usually I think it's a 30-day turnaround, right, or something like that in Quentin.
it's about 90 days sometimes. Violators was 30 days. New termers about 90 days.
I did 180.
180. I did about 6 months too, but I went to the hole for a minute though. You know what I
No, I
mean?
went.
I went
Yeah, I
about
went
3 months.
to West, and then I ended up on Donner, and then that's when I got shipped out because they couldn't find a home for me for my security level. Because you already know when they ship out, they're saying, so and so you're going to Folsom, yeah, so and so you're going to Tehachapi, no, and then so and so, and this was my number, you're going to Kalinga, boo, and I was like, fuck, what's popping off over there in Kalinga, so I went off into Kalinga, and I had to I forgot what it's called, but I think it's called QS time, where you do a 2-week evaluation of your mental status.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're still doing that or not. I've been out of the loop for a minute. And I asked the homies through the door. I said, "Yo, man, what's happening here? We lost 6 homeboys 6 months ago. We're all good though. It's all peace." I'm like, "Cool, straight, man. I love it. I'm finally gonna do my time here and go home." I lasted 2 weeks, 2 days after my QS time. I was there 2 days on the main yard, and we were fighting over TVs. And at that time in the '90s on the towers. Um, they had video cameras. They didn't have cell phones. We didn't have cell phones then. So they were recording us, and I remember their channels were talking in the front lines and negotiating. I was like, okay, if I don't, you recall back in those days, I don't know how they do it now. And the channels are going off, then we're going to go off. But I was in the front line, jumping up and down. Truth be told, I wasn't, and this is total transparency between you and your audience, was I was trying to pump myself up with adrenaline because it was so common to get into altercations that I didn't feel nothing anymore. It was a normal day, another Saturday. So I'm trying to jump up and down. And I was in the front, like, fucking get your heart going, because if this shit pops off, you need to be fucking ready. And Anyhow, the lady said, "Okay, you think you're a badass northerner? Whoop de whoop. We got you on camera." I go. She goes, "You've been here 2 days. We've been at peace for 6 months. I don't like your record. I never did like your record. I didn't approve of you coming here, and you fucked this whole yard up." I said, "Listen, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, regardless of the situation or not." But she goes, "Well, why were you in the front?" I said, "I had to prove myself." "Why were you jumping in down like with excitement?" I said, "Lady, it doesn't matter what I tell you because I had to get my adrenaline. You're gonna ship me out anyways. I already know I'm shipping, getting shipped out. You know." So then I got shipped out to a southern yard, and there was 7 homeboys to 325. So there were 7 of us
Where was this at?
maintaining. What's
Where
that?
was this at? Where was
We
this
got
at?
this was on a 2 yard perimeter. It was on a 2 fence in McFarland. They shot me up in Bakersfield.
Okay, yeah, them CCFs they had back at the time.
Yep, yep,
How,
yep.
how was that? How was that? 7 to 325.
Well, so after that, so I remember getting a special escort at nighttime, and the correction officer, asked me on the bus coming out. He goes, "Do you want to lock it down?" And I said, "Bro, you already know how us Northerners get down. the only way I'm locking it down, the only way I'm locking it down is when I get on the yard and I get mine." So he goes, "All right." So I got out to the yard, and I won't mention no names, but I was talking to the Africanos at the time because at that time we were at peace with them. And I said, "Where's my folks at?" And then they
Yeah.
pointed to me way in the corner over there, and I went over there and talked to the channel. And so, whoop de whoop, I'm a special guest, special appearance, special. They go, "Okay," and I go, "We hold it down." And there was literally 7 of us, bro. And there were like, I think like 32 bulldogs and 300 of them things.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
And how long did you stay there for?
I think I did a year there, and then I went home. Yep. And I got home, but I got a funny story about that. Maybe we can deep into that conversation because my channel, I started finding religion, bro. To be truth be told, I started finding religion in there, and at the end of my tour, homeboy was like wanting me to whack a bulldog. And I said, "Bro, I got 2 weeks to the casa, you know?" I go, "What the fuck?" I already knew the politics. And I was like, "I got 2 weeks to the house, and you want me to take homeboy out for barking on the yard?" I go, "We got homeboy doing 6 years here. We got homeboy doing 5. Why don't you get one of them to do the missions? You already know what it's about, and we can get into that." Is they wanted to keep the numbers.
Yeah.
So, like I said, "Listen, at the end of the day," they go, "Ah, we're fucking around." I said, "At the end of the day, I'll do what I got to do, but just be known this is where my game ends, and I'm gonna have to take my own people out after this."
So what ended up happening?
They said, "Nah, they had somebody else do it."
Okay. So
Yeah.
you found religion at that time, and this is where your life kind of transformed.
100% my life transformed. I gave my life to God. Like I said, I'm not a Bible thumper by any means. And we can tell some more stories if you want to have some more interviews later on about how that affected me, because I remember Max, he was a lifer, and he was telling me I don't know what yard it was or what prison it was. Maybe it was in Delano, but he was telling me, he goes, you hold position here, and we see you going to church, and it gives the wrong impression of the car. So the things you're doing are ungodly. So we have to take your position away. And basically, I got demoted.
Okay. Yeah, because back then Christians used to still rock either north or south, and they used to still get off
Well,
when it
yeah.
was time to have a baby.
Well, like I told him, I go, "Look, man, I'm on the yard. I'm active. If it goes down, I'm there 100%. My reputation precedes me. I've never let anybody down at that time. I understand. I understand what's going on, and I understand what I'm involved in. I understand what I what I signed up for. You know, but I think the way the car looked at it was weakness with one of their own.
Yeah. Uh, I think that a lot of times what they feel is that someone that maybe is Christian isn't fully invested. That they want someone that's fully invested in the job and the DNRs, and that they feel that someone maybe that's Christian maybe will go a different route when a certain issue maybe arises. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can see
So
that point of view. Yeah, yeah, I can see that perspective for sure. 100%.
we used to always keep the Cristianos at that time. They were given the basic information. Um, if there was something going on in the yard, half 60, full 60, whatever, they would get that
Ah,
information. But,
full three, yeah,
but
full 60. I remember that. Yeah, you're saying terms that are registering with me right now that I haven't spoken about in 20 years, and I don't
Yeah,
even know if they still use that lingo.
they probably do. You know, full 60, half 60,
Yeah,
full
full
60
60,
to
half
one
60. Get
maybe.
ready, get prepared. If not,
Well,
full fucking.
back then it was different on those yards, right? Like this is before the full green light was on the Bulldogs yet. It was started to have the green light on the Bulldogs, and when you got to a yard, you didn't have like HHPs written out or yard policy procedures written
Well,
out. It was all done verbally.
yeah, yeah. So that's a funny story. What my channel, and I respect him, and I'm a dear friend of his now. He's alive. He was there for a muerto, and he did take a Sureño's life. And I'm with friends with him to this very day, and he's changed his life around as well. And I respect him to the fullest. And I remember one time they were showering, and I don't know, they had Norte blasted on them. The Bulldogs, they had Norte on them, and my channel at that time, and there was only 7 of us against 30 of them, said, listen guys, I'm going to go tell these Bulldogs that they have to shower with their shirts on. This might not go down the way we want it to go down, but we need to hold it down. And I was like, well, fuck it, run it. So they obeyed. They all showered with their t-shirts on because we didn't want them to represent us or get anybody confused with them having their tattoos with their norte on them, and representing something they're not.
So that's a trip, man. That how it was in those time periods and shit. I mean, you expect them to get off nowadays. Nowadays, people are gonna get off.
Oh,
You got
I thought we were gonna get off that day. I was like, it's going down. It's cha cha time tomorrow. There's no way I would wear my shirt in the shower, bro. There's no way,
no, hell
especially if
no.
I outnumbered you.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So let's get back into more about your change today, though. Like the things
Yep.
that you're trying to do and the message that you want to have for the youth and
You
everything.
know, I love that you asked that, bro, because that's the main reason why I wanted to come on here with you is for that thing, is like if I can get out there and if I can change one life, and if I can lead them in a positive direction, um, you know, uh, my life has changed. I think I came home in 2000 or something like that, and then I met my wife in 2002, and I found a future and a skill set that I had because I was ready, two strike. I had two. I was I had 2 strike priors already and the prison priors and stuff like that, and I wanted to do the legit way. And my personality that I had in the gang life and the work that I put in, I adopted those formats, those policies, those same values that we did as Northerners, the militant, the structure behind it, the discipline, the self control, onto a healthy lifestyle, and I put those in a positive spin on my life today that I live, and I still by today I still do those things, and I was able to be successful in one of my trades, and lo and behold, in 20, I think it took me like 20 years. And then that company, I own 2 companies now. We'll probably talk about that on another interview. But I took that to the millions. For a Northerner to change his life around to being a multi-millionaire is unheard of. I think we had a 90% fail rate, especially being born in the barrio, being born, and by the grace of God, I believe that, coming from that environment to who the man I am today is a testimony in itself. And then my second company, what I did, I took that to the millions in 6 months, bro, because I applied the same principles that we did back then. So people ask me all the time, would you change anything if you can go back in time? And I absolutely would not, because I adopted the good traits. I'm an optimistic person, so everything that I learned on a bad behavior, I took on a positive, and I live with it today.
Did that just click for you, or was it just what was your motivation behind it?
On the business part of it, or on the gangbanging part of it?
Everything, just changing your life in general.
Well, I didn't, as you've been there yourself. It's like, how can I live with, I got the prison rules, and then I got the northerner rules, and there were so many rules to live by. I was like, I can't do this. How in the fuck am I gonna fucking put my boots on 24/7, have my bar flap clothes locked up, wake up, mandatory workout, no drinking, all of that. And it clicked for me after like 2 or 3 months, being organized, being structured. I had structure in my life. And that's what the gang life brought out of that. And I applied that to my life when I came home. I applied that structure mentality out on the outs.
That's real important because there's a lot of people who stepped out, like, recently, the last 5 years, and they still don't get it, man, because, prisons changed and the rules have kind of changed that, it's still more about catering to certain individuals. I think it's important that people, when they get out, they find what their niche is in life and just pursue it and forget the past. The past is the past. We've all have a reputation, ego. We've all done certain things, but, advancement demands change, and you can change at any moment if you desire.
100%, I agree with you. No matter, honestly, my family changed me too because my heart was just cold and, and black at the moment. In those 90s, I've done things and heinous things, and, and that's what I got in trouble for. I think I wrapped up with 10 felonies. I had like 32 felonies counts on me, different counties, different areas, all violent, 4 deadly. I pled guilty to 6 assaults and 4 deadly. And so I was a menace to society. And I accepted that, and I was just like, you know what, fuck, man, like, no corazon, like I didn't. Looking back, I can't fathom doing that today, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Being a heavy hitter, doing the things I did, being a sleeper, manipulation, all of that shit really bothers me to this day. So I kind of live a double life because for the last 20 something years or 25 years, it's a life that I don't speak about. It's even my family, my kids don't even know that side of me, but that motherfucker's still there. He creeps up once in a while. My wife understands that sometimes, and I try to keep a lid on that motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, I think it's real important because today's Cinco de Mayo, weekend.
Right, right.
I know you remember going out to Cinco de Mayo, those moments, man. It was off the fucking chain out there in Sanjo, man.
Bro, I mean, it was this weekend and 20 years back that we were putting in work. Like I said, it was another Saturday. It was
Yeah,
a daily occurrence. It was a weekly occurrence, that we didn't do something in a negative
almost definitely.
impact.
But Cinco de Mayo though was a little bit different though. You know what I mean? That's when
It,
everybody put on the best gear, their best fucking thing, and everybody was headhunting. There was riot. I remember September 16th. We had that riot where the
by
homeboy
Pink
Armando.
Elephant,
I
by
never
Pink
remember
Elephant. I
Armando.
don't know if were you there on that one and the Pink Elephant one?
Was that the one where they sprayed Victor? Where they sprayed Victor with the fucking mace?
Oh, that was another Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, yeah. I remember that one too. It was the
Yeah,
horses.
we kicked it off. We started throwing bottles at the cops that day. That day, remember?
I do recall that
Yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of
yeah,
a
that
couple
one.
of other Cinco
And
de
then
Mayo. Yes, yes.
we had the one on September 16th, and that's when the Sureños actually tried to rush downtown, and there was a lot of homeboys that were backing up.
Right,
And I remember
right.
it was a couple homeboys from Sao and then Mondo from my hood. They're the ones that kickstarted that shit off. You know what I mean? And all
We
it took was
ran.
about, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did some dirt that day. I remember. I remember that day in particular.
Pick up. What happened to pick up? I don't think I was there.
Well, they were pushing forward, and it is crazy because people don't understand that lifestyle, that world we lived in, that neighborhood that we lived in. They were pushing forward. They were stopping traffic. Even the cops couldn't stop those sureños. And uh, man, some I got to be careful what I say because I don't want this shit to haunt me. Let me put it to you this way: we we paved the way through that 100 or 200 individuals that day, went right through them, and then it kicked off. It was
Okay.
on Story Road. I'll put it to you that way.
Okay. That's probably like 95, huh?
95, 95, 94. Yep, yep. And like I said, I've been out of the game since I got incarcerated. They held me back though. They put me. I was trying to parole to Modesto at that time, and then Santa Clara County said, "No, you're high control. We're taking you back." And then they put me back in San Jose.
It's a trip down there. Back then, the Sureños were a little bit different in San Jose as opposed to now.
Yeah, I heard wild stories. I heard there's a lot more now. When I cruise through there, I go, "Wow, they really cleaned this place up." But I still think it's still gangbanging lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a trip because since then I've talked to people from VST. I've talked to people from fucking VSL, and You know, it's a trip, man. Just how we kind of remember all this stuff that happened and shit, man. And it was real. It was serious back then, man.
Yeah, well, bro. I mean, you've been there. I mean, you were there with that grenade issue. You were there with that, that shotgun issue. There's a lot of events, there was that took place, and it wasn't just our hood, your hood. It was multiple hoods that were doing this in the '90s, and there was no cell phones then. There was no, uh, everybody. If there was cell phones, I think we would all have life sentences at this time.
You know, and another thing too out there, which is what people don't talk about. Every hood was competing to be looked at as a top-notch hood out there.
A
Every hood
hundred
was.
percent, 100%.
It didn't matter if you were from west side, east side, south side, Gilas, Milpas, whatever. Everybody wanted to represent themselves to the fullest.
Right, 1,000%, 1,000%.
You know, I mean, unlike LA, the valios, the generations are a little bit different. They're not like 500 heads, 1,000 heads. The generations are like anywhere from 15 to like 40 heads at the most.
Right,
You
right.
know?
And we all, got together, and sometimes we had conflict where there was red on red. I was never a big fan of that at that time. And I think I think a big carnal sent out a GUN at that time to try to stop the red on red crime, if I'm not mistaken, in those years, in those eras. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember GUN or not.
Not to, I'm one of the ones that came out with the filters
Oh shit.
instead of Jenna back then, man. Anyways, is there anything that you want to say to the people out there before we end this interview? I want to do another one. I want to keep it like keep the viewers engaged. I don't want to go too long. So, is
Yeah,
there
yeah,
a
yeah,
message
yeah.
you have for the youth out there?
Like I said, I'd love to do some more interviews with you as well. My message is this, I understand where you guys are coming from. I was there. I was a part of it. Um, but if there is any individuals on your audience that do want to change their lives, get at me in the comments, and then maybe we can do another interview, and I can lead them and direct them into another avenue that I'm creating for people of color. And it doesn't matter who's in there, to try to guide them into a different direction on being businessmen, because that's what I'm about right now. Is I'm trying to help individuals out of that lifestyle of poverty, of the washing machine cycle, I call it, because I feel that it's just one generation after another generation that continues to continue living this lifestyle. And like I said, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm proud of who I am and what I've done, but I don't glorify that lifestyle anymore, if that makes sense.
Most definitely. Well, appreciate having you on, man. I'm pretty sure the viewers are going to enjoy this, and we're going to do another interview in the future. With that
Sounds
said,
good.
you guys have a good one.
All right, brother. Peace.